Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to Common English Mistakes. Don't just learn, improve. So today we're going to look at comparatives and superlatives, and this is something you've probably already studied before. However, it is difficult to get perfect, but by looking at the common errors people make and a couple of tricks to remembering them, you're going to be able to use these much more effectively and naturally. So anyway, a mistake I hear a lot is up here. Rome is the bigger city in Italy. So just pause the video, try to correct the sentence. And well done if you said Rome is the biggest city in Italy. So when we make a superlative to say the top, the number one of something, we need to say a st sound. So for example, short adjective, big, biggest. For longer adjectives with 2 or 3 syllables, we're going to say most plus the adjective. So Singapore is the most expensive city in the world. If the adjective ends in a Y, we're going to say eest. My friend is the funniest person I know. And a few exceptions. Good, best. Arsenal are the best team in England. Bad, worst. January is the worst month in the UK. And far, furthest or farthest. Although I would say furthest is more common these days. Pluto is the furthest planet from the sun. And I'm not going to let anyone tell me Pluto isn't a planet. It's still a planet to me. And one I would say is a sort of semi-exception, but isn't covered in grammar books, etc., is fun, which students always want to say funniest, which is wrong. Make sure the superlative of fun is most fun. Surfing is the most fun exercise. So just remember to make your superlatives the number one top of something, you need to make a st sound. Biggest, most expensive, funniest, best, etc. If you remember that, you're going to avoid mistakes. And then when we want to compare two things with our comparatives, the rules are similar, but we're just going to make an sound. So, short adjective, big, bigger. India is bigger than Spain. Long adjective, more plus adjective. Dubai is more expensive than Delhi. Ends in Y, we're going to say ear. My friend is funnier than me. And then the exceptions, good, better. The weather is better in summer than winter. Bad, worse. The weather is worse in winter than summer. And then far, further, farther, again with further being more common. A plane can travel further than a car. And again, this semi-exception with fun. We don't say funnier, we're going to say more fun. Playing sport is more fun than watching it. So that's the main thing to watch out for again, something I think you've probably already studied. Just make sure if you want to compare, you're going to make an sound. But if you want to say the top, number one, you need to be saying st. If you remember that, you're going to avoid mistakes. And the next big mistake I hear is similar for comparatives and superlatives. People say Rome is the most biggest city in Italy, or India is more bigger than Spain. But just remember, either you're going to add something to the end of the adjective, like bigger, biggest, or you're going to say more plus the adjective, but you're not going to do both. And that's the big one to watch out for. And this is especially true for Y adjectives, because as we saw, a grammar book will say, add eest or ear to the end of the adjective, funniest, funnier. But people do say, and I think it's perfectly okay, although maybe not as natural, to say most or more plus the adjective. Most funny, more funny. But again, be careful of not mixing the two and saying he's the most funniest person I know or he's more funnier than me. Those are very bad. And the next mistake is just for comparatives. So just pause the video and try to correct this sentence. Madrid is bigger than Barcelona. And well done if you said Madrid is bigger than Barcelona. For comparatives, we need to use the conjunction than. Interestingly, a lot of native speakers these days, especially in YouTube comments, are incorrectly saying then. So if you can get this right, you're going to use this more correctly and better than a lot of native speakers. Also, you learn to say this, but it's not always the most natural thing to include. Most of the time, in the real world, you just use the comparative on its own. For example, do you like the Kill Bill movies? You might say, yeah, but I think the first one is better. You don't always need to say than the first one. And finally, with superlatives, we usually use the definite article, the, but we can also use a pronoun. So instead of he is the oldest friend, he is my oldest friend. Anyway, explanation over. Hopefully that's given you a different insight into comparatives and superlatives and is going to make you more accurate in the future. As ever guys, if you're finding this video useful, interesting, hit that subscribe button, help this channel grow. Be much appreciated. Anyway, when you're ready, let's practice and improve. Just pause the video and complete the following sentences with a comparative or superlative and any articles, pronouns, conjunctions you might need. And well done if you said, the worst thing about my city is the weather in winter. The most beautiful city in the UK is Bath. I'm better at speaking Portuguese than listening to it. And then the most fun time of year in my city is June for San Antonio. The beach is windier in the afternoon than in the morning. And finally, the furthest or the farthest I've traveled to is Australia. So now just pause the video and write, say, or discuss the same sentences for you. And finally, today's question, what's the best thing about your city and how could it be better? So write your answers in the comments, guys. I'm always interested to learn about your cities. So that's basically it for today. Always remember to talk about the number one top thing. We're going to use a st sound, whereas to compare, we're going to use an sound. And then you're either going to add something to an adjective, est, or say more, most, plus the adjective, but you're not going to do both. Watch out for that semi-exception, more fun, most fun. I did a video on that in more detail, so check it out at the end. And then just watch the conjunction with comparatives. Than, not then or that. And often, like I said, you don't really need it in the real world. Other than that, I hope you found the video useful and I'll see you for another one in the next couple of days. Until then, see ya.